Hi there. Welcome to Christmas Cheer Central by Nicole B. Stampin'. My name is Nicole Black, and I'm a Stampin' demonstrator and avid fan of the holidays. Today, I want to show you that I make other cards besides Christmas cards. This card is a fall card that will feature the Autumn Leaves bundle from the annual catalog. Okay, here's the card we're going to make today featuring that Autumn Leaves bundle like I mentioned. Again, this is in the main annual catalog and you can find online. You can see I have some die cut pieces here, a label that has some gold embossing on it, along with using predominantly the pecan pie and some very vanilla in here. So we're going to show you how to make that. But first I want to show you the supplies that we're going to be using today. So I mentioned we're using the Autumn Leaves bundle, and here's the stamp set, and then it has the coordinating dies, and you can see that we have leaves, full leaves on here. We've got the veining, you've got some detailed leaves, and some labels and pieces. So it's a really great set that has all the pieces you can need to make cards, all in just the stamp set and the dies. I'm also using some DSP. I'm actually using again, if you remember some of my previous posts, I have this Iconic Celebrations DSP, and this piece is one of those designs with the pecan pie in it. It's got pumpkins on the back, but we're using the lines. I'm also going to use, this is the pecan pie centered striped ribbon. So we're going to use some of this ribbon, and we're also going to use the adhesive back sparkle gems. And I have the plastic on this. I don't know if you can see or if it's creating too much glare there, but we're going to use some of those today too. So let's get started making a card. The first, we're going to start with the pecan pie base, and I actually cut this long ways, so it's 11 by 4 1/4 so that it opens from the top instead of the side. I'm going to go ahead and crease it here and use my bone folder to get a nice crease. So I've got my base. I also have cut another piece of pecan pie here that is 5 1/2 by 3 1/2. And so you can see it goes all the way to the top, but we'll leave a gap on both sides. And then I've cut that designer paper, and I don't want to use a whole sheet across the back. So what I actually did here is I cut a 5 1/2 by 3 1/4. So you can see that it'll run the length. And then when I put this over top of it, it looks like it goes all the way through, but I don't waste all my designer papers. So we have those pieces. And then the last large piece is actually very vanilla. And this very vanilla is, again, 5 1/2 because I wanted to go the whole length. But it is then 3 3/8. And this is going to be our background piece. And so we're actually going to stamp the background. And I'm going to use crumb cake. And I'm going to use some pecan pie. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my background images here by stamping a bunch of different leaves. And so I'm going to start with my biggest one. I always start with the biggest stamp and work my way down when I'm doing a background to fill in the space. What I'm using is the flat images. I am using the lighter color, so my crumb cake. I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp this in a couple places on my background. I'm going to do one here, and let's do one down below. Oh, and you see what happened here? So this is where I recommend using a mat on this, and I'm actually going to put it underneath my scrap paper so I don't get ink all over my mat. But with those clear stamps and a solid image, you can get some spots. Good news, they actually have a second side, so there's always a way to stamp, and I'll show you when I stamp with the pad below it, I get a more complete image then. So that's a great tip, especially with, with these clear ones, because they don't have the padding already built into them like the rubber ones do. So adding that extra pad helps get a better, cleaner image. So there's the big one. I'm going to go to a medium one. So here's a different shape leaf, and I'm going to ink that guy up. I'll stamp this in a couple of places on here, maybe up there. Get one going in through here. I like just little peaks of colors in different places, so maybe just a little bit down there. And I got one more leaf. It's actually a double leaf all on one stamp here. And so I'm gonna ink this guy up, and I'm gonna just hit it in a couple of extra spots that have, so I kind of fill out my background here. I got a little spot up here. Fill out my background. So now I'm gonna come in with the veins. So the veins of the leaves. And I'm gonna do this in the pecan pie, so the darker color. And I'm gonna put it right over where my stamps are. Kind of line that up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna stamp here and here with my veins. Okay, I've got my veins for the medium one. I'm gonna come in here. Where are my medium ones here? Stamp those off, and sometimes, you know, I'm just lining up with the original stamp I put in there. And then the final one, my 2 leaves. So I've got one here. I did a little corner up here. Get that guy, and one over here, I think. Oh, I went this way. I was like, I can't figure out how this worked. Forgot which direction I stamped it. There. So I have my background all stamped out. That turned out really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna set my inks aside because I am actually done with those. So I stamped my backgrounds. Now I'm going to die cut my pieces. And as you can see here, and I'm actually gonna remove this pad here so I don't forget about it. I have 2 of each leaf in there, and then I have a label that I want to die cut. And I want to show you how cool. One of the things I love Stampin' Up! Does is, look, they gave us 2 of these, so we're using both of those, and they gave us 2 of these guys and 2 of these. So I only have to put them on the paper once to die cut them. So I think that is just awesome. I love that they do that. So I've got, here's my label by Magic of TV. Here are my pieces. I've got the 2 out of Crumb Cake, and I've got 2 out of Pecan Pie, and then I got gold foil out to do just a little extra bling in there. So I've got my gold foil leaves. So I have all my leaves and my label. Now the label, if you'll remember, has, I actually embossed the saying in gold. Again, I like my little bling, so we've got some bling going on here. And so we want to emboss this. So the first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna bring over my little powder palette, and I've got my embossing buddy, and I'm going to de-static my piece because I don't want the embossing powder to stick anywhere that I don't want it to. So we get that going here. Here's my Versamark and my saying, and I'm gonna just stamp with Versamark. I'm gonna pull this in a little bit so that I can make sure I line it up. The beauty of clear stamps, it's way easier to line these up. Now, if you're not comfortable with lining them up like I am, you can always do this embossing first and die cut the label, but I do it backwards to what some people do because I'm pretty comfortable with, especially with the clear, to stamping those. Okay, so now I'm going to cover it in that gold embossing powder over my powder pal. I give it a little flick so that, see, the embossing only sticks to where I want it to. And then we're gonna use our heat tool here, and we are going to heat this up. Okay, and then again by Magic of TV, here it is once it's heated, and you can, hopefully you can see that kind of, that shine. You see that in there? So now I have my label. All right, so now all we have left is to assemble the pieces. So I'm going to start with my background, and I have my tape here. So I'm going to start with, I'm actually going to start with the strips first, right? So I'm going to put my strips on here, and I'm lining it right up. Oh, and I got embossing powder all over the place. That is normal. I usually have to run a vacuum in here if I've been doing much embossing. I'm gonna run that right up the side here. I'm gonna do the other side. Get my fingers on my strip there. I'm putting it right in the bottom corner and running it right up the edge of the paper, as you can see. All right, and then I'm gonna put that pecan pie piece or yeah, pecan pie. Gonna put some tape on there, and I'm centering this in on each side, but it goes all the way top to bottom. Oh my goodness, I have powder everywhere. Everything's covered in it. Luckily you can't see it, but I can feel it. And then I have my background piece that I stamped, and I'm gonna go ahead and adhere this right on here. And you'll see again, there's a little bit of pecan pie that shows up on both sides, but it goes all the way to the top and bottom. Okay, so there's my base. The next piece I'm going to actually do is I have my ribbon here, and I already cut it, and I cut it on the angle that I want. And I'm actually going to use Scotch tape, and I love using Scotch tape for things like this. You'll see me do this a lot. And what I want is kind of right in the center. I'm going to have this folded and coming out, and I'm going to put my Scotch tape right over top of it. And I'm going to put it just a hair on an angle here so that it holds in place nicely. Now you'll notice when I go to put the label on it, it's going to hide my Scotch tape completely. So I'm not concerned about that. Okay, but before I put my label on, I'm actually going to use glue dots, and I'm going to adhere my leaves to the base. And I'm going to start with the smallest one, and I'm just using a single glue dot towards the bottom here, and I'm going to put a 1. I'm going to do the gold next, and I'm going to put it right next to it. And then I'm gonna do my crumb cake one next to it. Now you'll notice that I always put, when I use my glue dots, I always put, I'm gonna reverse the order on the bottom, by the way. I always put the paper onto the glue dot and pull it off. It makes it a lot easier to get it off of the paper without tearing. So I just reversed my order just a touch on the bottom, because why not? You could reverse the colors too. So you could, I could have maybe done these out of different colors. I didn't think about that when I was cutting them out, but that would be really pretty. All right, so now I have my leaves on here. So the last piece to go on is my label, and I'm actually gonna dimensional this on. So I'm gonna take 4, 1 on each corner, because I want it to pop and hold really nicely. Set those aside. Pull off my backs. I'm going to put this right over my leaves and ribbon, making sure my Scotch tape is covered, my base is covered, and ta-da! And then, of course, the last step, I'm gonna take some of my bling, and I have one that I've been working on here. Emptying them off and put up some pretty bling, because I love bling. Anybody who knows me knows I love bling. And there we go. There, it's pretty simple, straightforward. I love what the background does to it, and that fall-esque, that beautiful pecan pie and the very vanilla, and they just come out really nice and look very fall. I hope you enjoyed learning to make this beautiful fall card. Be sure to check out my blog for how to get the products yourself. Until next time, happy holidays.